vatvat samyamadi nidrayajayaha. Indriya jayaha. Says there's a mistake there. It should be Indriya jayaha. Okay. Grahana Sarupa Smitanvayartha Vatva Samyamadi Indriya jayaha. Master of the sense organs is attained by performing samyama on their power or perception through nature, relations, the ego, pervasiveness and fun functions. 49. Tado manojavitvam vikarana bhavaha pradhana jayascha. Tado manojavitvam vikarana bhavaha pradhana jayascha. From that proceeds immediate ability to have knowledge without the use of the senses and complete master over prakriti. That means you get it complete knowledge directly without using the reason or the senses. 50. Sattva purushanyadakhyadi matrasya sarvabhava adhishthatutvam sarvajñātritvam ca. Sarvajñātritvam ca. Sarvajñātritvam. 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 Sarvajñātritvam cha. Only through realization of the difference between sattva and purusha comes omnipotence and omniscience. In the very final phase of a sage's last life, he directly experienced the difference between the quality of purity, that is sattva guna, because a sage has transcended tamo guna and tajo guna. He has got sattvic ego. But sattvic ego is being very peaceful, is very holy, is very wonderful, he has got immense peace and he is able to identify the Supreme, but still it is a quality. Only at the last moment he realizes, I must transcend even the sattvic ego and identify with the self, Purusha, without having any quality, even sattvic qualities. It's a binding thing. That's what he has meant. Here the yogi leaves the relief of Prakriti, that is gunas, includes sattva guna, and becomes one with the Purusha, the universal soul. Then the powers of Purusha, omnipotence and omniscience are his. This is also divine power, omnipotent, omniscient, and so on. 51. Tadvairagyadipi. Tadvairagyadipi. See that two words there, Tat and Vairagyam. This one joined to Tad and Vairagyam becomes how it is written. Tad Vairagyadipi. Tad Vairagyadipi. Tad Vairagyadapi. Vairagyam. Vairagyadapi. Tad Vairagyadapi. Dosha Bijakshaye Kaivalyam. Tad Vairagyadipi. Tad Vairagyadapi. Dosha Bijakshaye Kaivalyam. by non-attachment to even, that the omnipotent and omniscient of Purusha comes destruction of the final seed of bondage and liberation is attained. Absolutely everything must be given up in order to reach the God realization, even the powers that comes with God realization. The power of God is omnipotent, omniscient. Even that power you must then only become seedless. To understand that God is omnipresent, omnipotent and omniscient, is it not? Yeah. Then God with one command, he could have destroyed Hitler, Mussolini and changed the world into paradise. He would have destroyed all the bad people and created only good people. He has got the power, is it not? But can he use that power? Is he using the power? Why? See, even the God will not use that power, because you have to learn through your own experience and reach that Godhead. That omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent God is where? Where is that omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient God? Where is it? He is within you. You are that. So, if because I can use that power and change the law of the world according to, because I am omnipresent, then there is no law to evolve. You cannot evolve, because the law is that everything is, one person can do anything he wants, because he's got the power. Then you don't have to put any effort. That means your evolution will be stopped. That's why God is not interfering with any of the human problem. Have you seen God interfering with the wars? But according to the nature of the karma, each individual gets certain reactions. But behind that, even that person, negative person performing negative action, the same God shines. And though he is not using that power, whatever we are doing is because association with the Prakriti, nature, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So when the identification of the Prakriti with the nature, Prakriti, in the form of Tamas, you become stupid idiot. When you become identified with that Rajas, you are identifying with the power of a Hitler or Mussolini. Or when you identify the Sattva, you are identifying with the power of sages and saints. But everything is what? Upadhi. You will not be able to reach that seedless state. So you are that God. So what is separating from you and God is this ego. Sattvic ego, Rajasic ego, or so when you are identified with the power and position, then you are going to show your power to somebody. And that means you don't have the universal consciousness. You are still living in samprajnada samadhi. And that is why it's not a seedless state. So there is bonding there. 52. Thanyu pani Thanyupani mantrane Thanyupani mantrane Thanyupani mantrane. You must just read it not because you hear from me. You must read it because you see it there. Sangha Smaya Karanam Sangasmaya Karanam Sangasmaya Karanam Punaranistha Prasangade Punaranistha Prasangat or Prasangate Punaranistha Prasangat. See, you've forgotten how to read it. Punaranistha Prasangat. On being invited by a celestial being, the yogi should not feel pressure or pride, for there is danger of revival of evil. The higher the level attained by yogi, the greater the temptation. ego is the cause of any attachment or pride that might arise when the yogi attains ability to commune with the celestial being, and this would be his downfall. Just like when you become very powerful person in a politics and you get invitation from President Reagan to come to the White House for the dinner. But Mr. Gold will never get an invitation from Reagan. But suppose Mr. Gold also became very powerful lawyer. He defended. Now you know today's paper what Hinckley says. He wanted to admit guilt, but the government won't allow him to do. It was today's paper.
We don't see it papers.
Yeah. Anyhow, that was the paper says. He said he sent on so many times he wanted to play guilty, but they will never allow him to do that. And he has written a huge story about it. And they do not want to plead him guilty.
That's why they think he's crazy.
Eh?
That's why they think he's crazy, because he wants to admit his guilt.
But he, what do you mean? Because I killed somebody, he said I'm not guilty, because I killed somebody. So then I'm mad. If I can kill somebody, and if I plead guilty, then I am mad. If I plead not guilty, then I am sane. Okay, anyhow, he said he wrote a big letter and so forth that saw so many things contradiction, and he blamed the government to make him not to play guilty and to go on, and he just what I'm talking about, the government doesn't want that the case to be easily disposed of like that. If he pled guilty, he has to only spend 14 years and then he get easy parole, etc. But that's the government. No, that's not the thing they want. See? Yeah.
Swami, this refers to communication with celestial beings, but for Christians who pray to Jesus or
just wait. Let me come to that. I'm just started only. So, who will get admission to the White House and who will get personal invitation from Reagan? Who has got some power over the politics and who will help him for next re-election and who is going to vote whenever he says, because he defeated one of the recent vote about the some tax or something, even all the Republicans abandoned him, and he said, oh, I feel very much hurt because his own Republicans abandoned him. So anyhow, he in fact he invited before this budget vote, he called many of the congressmen privately and then start talking to them, give special invitations and special dinner, etc., so that they will all support his tax plan and so forth. But anyhow, same thing. When you reach a certain stage of development, just like the President Reagan invited certain congressmen because he's threatening or he can put problem on his re-election, because he may even say that I want to be the next president, and so he will only want him to not to get him beyond his position or take his position so that he can keep them under his control, but he is giving little bit of pleasure of the White House, little taste. So I can give you this, I got this power, I can invite you for a special White House dinner, and he falls into that trap. Then what? He ate that special invitation, ate that beautiful presidential dinner or bucket or what do you call it? And then when the vote is taken, then he has to, yes sir, aye sir, aye sir. That's the purpose. It's not he is interested in the particular congressman because he has got the power. When he was not a congressman, when he has got no power, even to senior, is very difficult. Same, there was angels in the heaven. As you start progressing in the pranayama, etc., they think their position is threatened by you, because you are not only going to take their position, you are going to go beyond their planes. That is very difficult for them to see. Just an ordinary secretary in the president's Reagan's cabinet suddenly he is not only going to the president and he is going to throw the president down and then take all the power of the United States and all the world. It is very painful. And so what they do everything to tempt you by giving beautiful celestial experiences, celestial dances and celestial music. You can hear wonderful things. You enter into celestial planes and you see their beautiful enjoyment life they are having, like the White House. Everything is going on beautiful. And this taste, once they get it, what happened? Oh, it is so wonderful, this celestial plane. These celestial angels are enjoying such a, because of their good karma, and now they are so happy to bring me to their associated with the company. Oh, I am great now, because I am associated with the President Reign, so I am associated with these great devas, angels. I move among them. These silly earthlians, they don't know anything about it, how great I am. So he is trapped in that celestial beauty, celestial, and their whole purpose is not because to get you there, to keep you under their control and below their level. That's what Patanjali is warning. This is not just merely a statement. It happens. You see as you progress, temptations after temptations will come which you do not want at all. You'll be given that. Every type of temptations, the pleasures once you are seeking after, it will be just running after you. And the sages and celestials and angels will come to you. You see their power. They manifest through various ways. And they'll see you, they will give you this, they will give you that power, etc. But don't fall into that trap. That's what Patanjali is warning. That it's bound to come to you. Get out of this trap. '53. Kshana takkamayoho kshana tat kramayoho kshana tat kramayoho kshana tat kramayoho samyamadi vivekajam jnanam kshana tatkramayoho kshana tatkramayoho kshana tatkramayoho samyamadi vivekajam jnanam. By performing samyama on a moment and its succession comes discrimination. The yogi cannot be tempted by celestial beings if he is fully concentrated on the moment at hand. What is moment? The present. He is not thinking of the future or the past. That's called samadhi. If he is thinking of the present, there is no time, no cause, no space. Time and space is existing because celestial existence, because there is time and space. There's past, present and future. Even there is also changes. But if he is living in the present, which is the present? In the self, I am that. That's called present. There is, when you are in the samadhi, there is no past or there's only present, eternal now. I am and I am and I am and I am and now. Yeah, not be samadhi. Until I finish samadhi, we are still comparing samyama of various things, Until you come to asamprajnana samadhi, when you are all in a full asamprajnana samadhi, when you don't hear my words, you don't hear me, you don't see anything, you don't taste anything, you don't smell anything, and you don't want anything. After some time, you don't want anything, and you don't want a siddhi, you don't want any powers. What do you want to do? I am going to show you how that experience is. So it's not going to end very soon. To experience that asamprajnana samadhi state where you identify with the Purusha, it is I am and now. There is no other experiences. You can't say this I is somewhere or going to be somewhere. Or there's some other place I had to move because I am everywhere and I am in now. That means I am not aware of the time and space. So the yogi cannot be tempted by celestial beings if he is fully concentrated on the moment at hand. What is the moment? That is chitta vritti. Because when the vritti is the rising of one wave and then coming up, dissolving another. So if you say only one vritti, one self as the vritti, there is no more temptations because everything becomes illusion. This is what is meant by the phrase be here now. His full awareness is being applied to each second that phase passes. So no time is left for temptations and distractions. 54. Jadi, Lakshana, Deshai, Ranya, Tana, Vaschetad, Tulyayo, Tataha, Pratipatti, Pratipattihi, Jati, Lakshana, Deshai, Anyatanava, Chetad, Tulyayo Tataha, Pratipattihi. Its discrimination also leads to knowledge of the difference between the two similar objects when their difference cannot be ascertained by class, characteristics or location. Samaya performed moments to moment bring awareness of reality that cannot possibly be discerned by any ordinary forms of perception. This sutta is not dealing with normal difference of objects, but in the subtle distinctions or the highest level of Prakriti and Purusha. Only liberated stage can see such differences. At present, we cannot see the difference between Prakriti and even if I try to analyze it, I see only Purusha as Prakriti. I am not seeing Purusha different from, but I am not even aware of existence of, I am only aware of the Prakriti. So, in that highest state, when no vrittis, only the sage functions moment by moment without any past or future, then there is no Prakriti. Prakriti can only work when there is subject and but when there is no time, space or causation, which is nothing but the product caused by the... please sit up, please, unless you got a real back problem. You got any back problem? Huh? Okay. So, if the present now I am and now exist, then there is no more object. You cannot see the object. When you see the rope, you cannot see the... When you see the smoke, you cannot see the rope. What is that? When you smoke. Okay. Because I am also getting little, not tired, entering into asamprajna samadhi. Well, anyhow, I had to finish my karma, you see, because otherwise, Friday you want to be off for your study and Saturday is exam. I got only Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the lessons I had to finish is still another 6 years lesson is there. So I was just dreaming today this morning, my God, how am I going to finish? I was dreaming, see. So I had no choice, I had to go on until the lessons are finished. I can't stop it. So, when there is snake, when you see the snake, you don't see the, and when you see the rope, so when you see the Purusha, you don't see the, and when you see the Prakriti, you don't see the Purusha. You understand that? So when you see experience, time, space, celestial beings, celestial heavens, enjoyments, then you don't see. And when you see the Purusha, there is no celestial beings, there is no heaven, there are no angels, there are no powers. So which one do you see? You want to see celestial beings and become part of it, or you want to see the Purusha? That depending upon whether you got Viveka and Vairagya. If there is not sufficient Viveka and Vairagya, you will be tempted. If you have Viveka and Vairagya, true Viveka, Vairagya, you know everything is going to bring me eventually pain. Even the celestial heaven, that Indra who invited for a celestial feast, with all the celestial nymphs are dancing for you, they are all going to leave you when your karma is exhausted. And the Indra is waiting. By creating more good karmas and more pleasures, you can work out the karma and then he can throw you from the heaven. The President Reagan, he invites you only as long as you got the, and once he knows how to get you from that power position, which is a threat for him, then once he knows there is no more threat for him and he's been taken all the powers from you, then he will say, he will never even write you a postcard. That's the way. That's called selfishness. Everywhere there's selfishness. So don't trust celestial beings too. They are as selfish as any politician. Because they want their power, their position, and they don't want anyone to take it. So they will do everything to tempt you to hold it there. But a person who is established in Purusha, these are all children's toys. He never cares about it. If you care about it, you don't have Vairagya and Viveka. Now, 55. Tarakam Sarva Vishayam Sarvatha Vishayam Cheti Vivekacham Jnanam Tarakam Sarva Vishayam Sarvatha Sarvatha Vishayamakramam Sarvatha Vishayamakramam Sarvatha Vishayamakramam Cheti Vivekajam Jnanam. The highest knowledge, born of discrimination, transcends all. It perceives all simultaneously in time and space and transcends all, even the world process. When discrimination is perfected, Viveka and Vairagya, this is not coming because of painful conditions. Viveka, Vairagya, discrimination comes because you see the difference between Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti is all illusion, Purusha is real. So the worlds and celestial beings are all just only illusion. When discrimination is perfect, the yogi transcends time, space and causation. These are all, there are no barriers for him. All of eternity and infinity are available to him. This is why he is said to be a God reunited soul. 56. Sattva Purushayoho Sattva Purushayoho. See how the Ru is written, you see Ru, Ra, Ru, did you see that? Sattva Purushayoho Shuddhi Sabmye Kaivalyam. Sattva Purushayoho Shuddhi Samye Kaivalyam. Kaivalya, liberation, is attained when there is equality between Sattva and Purusha. Liberation takes place when the mind has the same purity as Purusha itself. The purified mind recognizes its nature as Purusha. The essence of this nature is and always has been bliss, freedom and peace, self-sufficient and perfection. So, when the mind, the sattvic ego, attains the perfection, means that and the Purusha are the same. There is no more duality. If I am saying I am a great sage, then there is sattvic reality, sattvic ego. But that mind sees it is not different from the mind sees it's not different from who? Just now you read that. Purusha, the subject. What is yoga? Yoga is union between individual and the universal. What is individual? Mind creates the idea that I am an individual being. In the earlier stage, I identify with the ego of the body, then with the ego of the mind, and then ego of the sattva, pure sattva. So sage reached the sattvic stage, but now that sattvic ego, I and my father are, that sattvic ego is I. That's the mind, lower mind, the mind which is still in the sattvic state, the sattvic ego. I and my father are, and now in the next stage, this difference doesn't exist. That is, I and father are one, but there is no one to that. Ego merges with the self. Only I am, that I am. They cannot say I and father. I am, that I am. That's called, that sattvic mind merges with the Purusha. That's what that meant there. So Kaivalya is attained when there is equality between Sattva and Purusha. Between Sattva means Sattvic, ego, and Purusha. They are one and the same. They can't distinguish this. Liberation takes place when the mind has the same purity as Purusha itself. The Purusha mind recognizes its nature as Purusha. The mind, the purified mind, the Sattvic mind recognizes its nature as Purusha. Because it is no more Sattva or the essence of the nature is and always has been bliss. It was always in essence. Never the Purusha ever had any qualities. Its essential nature is always Sat, Chit and Ananda. Is ever free. Is ever eternal. But in the meanwhile, because association with the various qualities, he thought it has got birth or death. And he thought he is going to continuously changing and evolving from mineral to man, man to angels, celestial beings, and celestial beings to supra-celestial beings, like in the Brahmaloka. So they are all thinking this only are caused by the association with the mind, but the Purusha was ever free. No time the Purusha was ever bound, or there is any sin or any limitations. But due to the association with this Prakriti, like the crystal, the pure crystal, due to association various types of colors, it was reflecting various types of colors. But that crystal was never tainted by that colors. If it's red, it will red, but still it is red. You take it off from the color, it is pure crystal. So it was associated with these colors, thinking, oh, I am red, I am green, I am yellow, I am so on. That was an illusion. So what is liberation is, the crystal is not identifying with any more of the colors, is identified with the pure Satchidananda nature. So because when you realize I am the pure crystal, that doesn't mean it has to wash all those colors by soaps and detergents, is it not? I take this cloth and put some red color, what will happen? It will become red, yellow. Now if I want to take the colors, I have to bleach it. But a crystal is brought to a red color, it's red color. Now in order to clean that, what do you do? What detergent you use? There is no, because it's never tainted. Though it appears to be color, red color, but it is not tainted. It is ever pure, ever immortal, ever peaceful, ever blissful, ever omnipotent, omniscient. So all the cravings, you thought that you want the power, you want to be omnipotent, omnipotent. You know that is I am. Always I was omnipresent, always I am omnipotent, I am omniscient, I am Sat, Chit and Nanda. Never this quality changes. But now the difference is, I know I am not the colors. I am not Sattvic color, I am not red color, I am not Rajasic color, I am not Tamasic color. I am that. That is called liberation. You got that? Ready for liberation? So, do you have any pain? That pain is caused by association with the body, with your annamaya kosha. So now, you get out of the annamaya kosha, what you do? Astral body. Then you will have pain from the astral body. Then you have to get rid of the astral body, what do? You go to the causal body. And when you want to remove the point from the causal body pain, what is it? I am a saint, I must be much more saintly than you. So, you must transcend that. And then say, I am that I am. Satchidananda. Om Shanti. 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 Okay. Few minutes, just what you heard, learn to realize. Vritti Nirodha. You learn all the vrittis, all the gunas, don't associate any qualities like the pure crystal that shines equally in me and in you and in all. Though we have taken you highest, yesterday we have taken you for the highest samadhi, is it not? Yesterday we finished with the samadhi, and now we want to come back to the body, because body is the vehicle by which we can attain the liberation. Without the body, even angels in the heaven, they envy human beings. Do you know why? Why they envy? No, not that. Their karma is slowly exhausting, and you are increasing your karma. They cannot attain perfection until they get a physical body. So, they are finishing their vacation, and you are entering into the. As soon as you finish this thing, you will enter into the vacation. Yeah.
Yesterday you said that they can experience emotions like they can be envious of us and jealous and so forth. If they can experience those, can't they experience like love and peace and
they will have love.
karma for themselves?
Pardon, no.
They can experience
No, there is no, because there is no such thing as the physical body, and then their action is done in another dimension, you see. They will jealousy only in their dimension, but they are not actually attacking the human beings. Unless you want to go beyond them, then they will put you, temptations they will give you, that's all. They can't do anything beyond that, you see. So there is no karma for them in that level. Only when they come back to the physical level, their karma will start. So that's one of the cause of the. So then why we are discussing about the physical shit? Without the physical body, you cannot attain any perfection. So it is very important, human body, to take care of this vehicle. Do not abuse that body and use it for merely indulgence and pleasures. Then you are wasting the most valuable life. That's called, Master always sings that song, you know. It is difficult to get a human birth. First of all, to reach the human level, you have to go to 840,000 species and wander through infinite number of galaxies before you can come even to this state where you can think of God and meditate and discipline like that. And once you are entered into the physical body, human body, then just do not waste discipline. Make that body useful for your God realization. That's why we are taking the physical shit, Annamaya Kosha, and train the Annamaya Kosha through asana, pranayama, etc. before we can enter into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And don't enter the Nirvikalpa Samadhi now itself, please. Wait for it, okay? Let us finish this protein metabolism. First of all, metabolism itself we discussed a little bit fast, so you understand about the catabolic and anabolic process. So far we have studied the nature of the various foodstuffs, not various, that is carbohydrates, and also how the body uses the carbohydrate metabolism through circulating blood and so on. We also acquainted with the more obvious activities of the body, such as contraction of the muscles, these activities are the result of the energy transformations occurring within the cells. It is these energy changes together with the material changes inseparably bound up with them that form the subject matter of metabolism. Some constituents of the cells are obtained from the environments via the alimentary and the respiratory tracts. Others are manufactured by the body itself from the environment's furnished material. Cell constituents vary from one type of cell to another, but in general we may enumerate the following: proteins, amino acids, carbohydrates, fats, minerals, vitamins, enzymes, hormones. If you want, you can write this so that you remember all the things. Just write it. Cell constituents vary from one type to cell another, but in general we may enumerate the following: proteins, amino acids, carbohydrates, fats, minerals, vitamins, enzymes and hormones. To this must be added water and oxygen. This oxygen be added to this. Since each of these groups, the number of discrete substances ranges from a few to 100, tracing the history of each in its course throughout the body is a large undertaking. Some cells constituents are concerned either with the directly supplying energy for cellular activity or with controlling to a certain degree the occurrence, extent and the duration of the energy liberation. The releasing of energy and all its essential is spoken as catabolism or dissimulation. Right, this is the way what catabolism means. The releasing of energy and all its entails is spoken of as catabolism or dissimulation. So the burning of that lamp is called catabolism. That's the process, because it is converting the energy. It's called catabolism or dissimulation. Other cellular components serve as material for growth and maintenance of the protoplasm. This is constructive process called anabolism or assimilation. So other cellular components serve as material for growth and maintenance of the protoplasm. This constitutes process called anabolism. Or so if you ask to question what is catabolism and anabolism, or anabolism means, you must be able to explain. Maybe one of the questions you may get into. Methods of investigation. Okay, forget about isotopes. Some characteristics of good food utilization by protoplasm. Before discussing the metabolic, this process together, anabolism and catabolism put together, is called metabolism. So what is metabolism? Is the body's release of energy through the process of dissimulation, and catabolism is the repairing process of the cells. And this catabolic process and anabolic process together called metabolism. Before discussing the metabolic changes befalling each of three organic foodstuffs after having entered the cells, it may be well to consider briefly some basic facts underlying these changes irrespective of the nature of the foodstuffs. Dynamic equilibrium of the self. Of course, you don't have to go understand very detail, but just get an overall understanding. Notwithstanding the apparent permanency of the adult body throughout the years by the use of the stable or radioactive isotopes, it has been demonstrated that extensive changes are constantly taking place in the composition of the body tissues. It appears to be our body tissues are same, but it's not. There's constant changes are taking place in the body tissues. By following the course of the marked elements, that's what the purpose of isotopes, CH, N or S, throughout the body, it was learned the structural elements of the cell, which may say from the machinery of the cell, are not the fixed and stable things they were once considered to be. Once they consider the cells are fixed, but it's not. Rather, they are in a constant state of flux in which there's a fairly rapid exchange of certain substances, particular amino acid of protein molecule. This constant change of the amino acid is taking place in the cell protoplasm. So rather they are in a constant state of flux in which there is a fairly rapid exchange of certain substances, particularly amino acid of the protein molecule. What's the difference between amino acid and protein? When it's digested the protein, it becomes amino acid. It goes in through your system. Like carbohydrate changed into glucose. Same phenomena. Between the cellular, the exchange certain substances like amino acid of the protein molecule between the cellular structures and plasma. The protoplasmic constituents are constantly undergoing a regulated tearing down and resynthesized. As an example of this, 1/2 of the nitrogen found in the protein of the liver is renewed every 7 days. Glycine constitutes one of the amino acid found in liver proteins. 10% of the glycine is replaced daily, even the constituents of the most rigid and enduring structures, like bones, are in the state of flux. Even the bones are state in flux. To quote, every protein molecule in the body is itself alive in the sense that continuously changing and renewing its structure. Never it is in steady state, every cell is changing. Machine fuel structure. The exceedingly complex and highly organized contents of the cell protoplasm is generally regarded as constituting the machine which in some manner releases and utilizes the potential energy of the food. The mechanical changes in the muscle cell due to the protein action and myosin favor this view. What relation exists between the unstable, ever-changing protoplasm and the dead and quiet inert food molecule? Perhaps it is best to speak of these two ingredients as a machine fuel structure. In functioning, the machine fuel undergoes a limited and carefully controlled disintegration, resulting of energy, just like car or all the oil is not in a careful and controlled way. The wick is using the energy and bringing enough amount of heat and light. Suppose if I make the wick longer and a thick wick, as thick as this, and then it absorbs oil more. So controlled way, same body too. Reconstruction takes place perhaps simultaneously with or soon after the disintegration. reconstruction takes place, just like you heard in the muscular metabolism, the sugar metabolism, that immediately the lactic acid formed is converted into what? 1/4 is converted into 1/5 is converted into energy by oxidation created and thrown out in the form of carbon dioxide and water. The 4/5 is been used to reconstruct, that energy been used again to convert the back into, and also to restore the ATP into ADP into ATP. So reconstruction takes place perhaps simultaneously with or soon after the disintegration. Basic energy requirements for each cell. The protoplasmic machine expends energy not only in adjusting the body or parts of the body to environmental changes, both external and internal, but energy must also be expended to maintain its own structure and thereby ensures its existence. Energy is necessary not only for activities and also too much hot, the body perspires and takes the extra heat, and too cold, the body shivers. That is again to protect from the cold. That's all. That's not the purpose alone. The very existence of the cells needs energy. That means even if you are not doing any activities, you are sleeping and absolutely no food at all for digestion, still structures must survive. So energy is necessary even in that absolute ideal state. But energy must also be expended to maintain its own structure and thereby ensure its existence. The highly labile material and combination of materials entering into the makeup of protoplasm are constantly disintegrating. Evidence of the this was presented in the previous section. Storage of energy. To carry on life, energy is needed every moment, day and night. Yet we supply ourselves with food only 2 or 3 times per day. For some people give how many times? 24 hours. Once a day, all day long. They never stop because they start the breakfast. They only take one breakfast, and the breakfast whole 24 hours. Well, it is apparent therefore that part of the food not immediately needed on its arrival, so only we are taken twice or thrice. That means we are not using all that foodstuff at once. It is apparent then therefore the part of the food not immediately needed on its arrival in the bloodstream must be stored for future use. On continuing our body, we shall learn that for carbohydrates a rather limited storage capacity exists in the liver and in muscles, which you already know about. Carbohydrate is stored in the liver and muscles in the form of, in the liver it is stored in the form of, what is the chemical constituents of glycogen? C6H10O5, and then the same thing is stored in the blood. That is what do you call it? And what's the difference then? C6H12O6. That means 2 hydrogen atoms is added to the glycogen, and 1 oxygen atom is added to the glycogen, become. And so when you take these 2 water molecule, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, then it becomes glycogen. So on continuing our study, we shall learn that for carbohydrate a rather limited storage capacity exists in the liver in the form of glycogen, and in muscles in the form of blood and muscles, because that's all together. Then what about protein? Protein is not stored to any great extent like extra carbohydrates which you cannot store in the liver and in the muscles and blood, where it is stored in the form of fat. It has been reconverted, and then later on we come to fat metabolism. We'll discuss about that. So protein is not stored to any great extent. So by merely eating huge amount of protein, as many people think, if I eat 10 big steaks, I am going to have very strong. What is going to happen? You cannot store protein, but then protein must be eliminated. That is the nitrogen waste in the form of urea. Very energy consuming process. To convert that nitrogen in the form of urea, because everything energy necessary. So merely eating high protein, that only you are destroying your liver, your kidneys and making the work hard. There is no extra you can store in the body, like the carbohydrates, and so better don't eat big steaks anymore. So protein is not stored in any great extent, but for fats, the storage space in adipose tissue is large. So, which is, you can store more. Carbohydrates, limited amount. Protein, but in the form of fat, you can store quite a lot, you can see. It can be readily seen that certain unusual conditions of the body or the environments, the storage of energy yielding substances may be essential. Catabolism and energy. Energy is released to the cells for their existence and for work by catabolic process. The chemical disintegration or catabolism of the three organic foodstuffs. What are three organic foodstuffs? Louder. Basic one. You don't have to. What are the names? Three basic foodstuffs. Organic foodstuffs. Carbohydrates, protein, and fats. These are the three basic organic compounds, which is being catabolized by our cells for energy as well as for reconstruction. The chemical disintegration or catabolism of the three organic foodstuffs, namely carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, by which potential energy is released in sometimes loosely spoken of oxidation. So you don't call it that burning of the lamp as, what do you call it? It is lighted, it is giving light. But what is happening? It is nothing but oxidation. And you look at oh my God, how come this is rusty? This rusty is become all rust. What do you mean by that? Oxidation. So iron oxide. That is combining, this iron is combined with oxygen, become iron oxide. So you don't call it, it is catabolism, is it not? But that's also catabolism. So rust is a catabolic process called iron oxide, that is burning. So also your body is doing the same process. So the catabolism means, another word, it is called oxidation of certain foodstuff, which you already learned. Carbohydrate, even protein has been oxidized, is it not? You remember that? The protein, we'll come to that more if not. Food, it is popularly said, must be burnt or oxidized in the body. Let us note some similarities and some sharp differences between the combustion or burning of food outside the body, and catabolism in the cells. For either in the complete combustion in the air or its catabolism in the body, oxygen is required. Whether the lamp is to burn or this is to be oxidized, in either condition, oxygen is necessary. Taking the all-important fuel food, what is that fuel food? What is the fuel for the body? What is the important one? Carbohydrate or glucose. As an example, this may be expressed in its most abbreviated form. You already know. What is that? Carbohydrates abbreviated form. C6H12O6. And when that is combined with what? oxygen. That's called oxidation. The energy to release, it must be combined with the, what is the oxygen volume? 6 volume of oxygen. 6 molecule of oxygen become what? 6 carbon dioxide, 6 hydrogen and water, 6 volume of water and plus energy. So where the energy coming for your cells, when that CHO combined with oxygen O, with which proportion? With 6 proportion. When it is combined, then it becomes 6 proportion of oxygen and 6 proportion of 6 proportion of carbon dioxide and 6 proportion of water. And then what is energy is? So when that oil is converted, oxidized, let us see, that oil has been oxidized by combining with oxygen. There is carbon dioxide. What else there? There are also water, plus there is waters. Energy in the form of light and heat. Same thing. When your body carbohydrates like the oil is combined with the oxygen, the cells get the energy. So energy is released. So 3 things. But molecule, the atom itself is destroyed. Never matter can be destroyed. But never matter also changes in the same state. It will change. Either in the molecular level it will change, or in a atomic state it will change. Like in the radium, etc., constantly the change is taking place. Unstable elements like radium, that is natural destruction. So in the atomic level and even subatomic levels also this change can take place and takes place. But one thing, matter can be never destroyed, it only changes its nature and constituents. So carbohydrates, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen combined with oxygen changed into carbon dioxide and exact same amount of carbon dioxide. When it is combined with 6 volume of oxygen, so it becomes 6 volume of carbon dioxide and 6 volume of. So there is nothing changed in the matter itself, but any changing process will release energy. For that also you need to change, also you need energy too. So nothing changes without having some form of energy, and when the energy is applied to that, either you can create catabolism or you can combine and make into new molecules in either. So that's what happened when the carbohydrates is broken down, it becomes amino acid. Is it not? You saw that. Pardon? Sorry, carbohydrate it became not amino acid. Glucose has been combustion took place. What happened? It became lactic acid. And to restore the balance, 1/5 of the lactic acid change into carbon dioxide, and that energy has been used to reconvert the lactic acid back into. So energy. So either way energy is necessary. So for reconversion of that is using energy coming from the same process. So either any form of energy you need some form of energy. But anyhow, the matter is not in any way changed. So C6H12O6 plus 6 volume of oxygen equal to 6 O2, means 6 carbon dioxide and 6 H2O plus energy. And then second, so again, write this combination so you can make a note. Come here, somebody please. Write one. Write this formula. This formula at the bottom, potential energy and base product. So you can note. You already know this, but make sure that you understand very clearly. Wrong way you wrote. Just put that one all here and that one that side. Completely that only.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Yeah, right.
you get
Otherwise nothing.
we get energy from carbohydrates to burn our muscle, is it not? Where that energy originally comes from? Where that energy comes from? You see, how do they get the sun from that energy from the sun? Huh? So plants using their photosynthesis by the help of the sun convert the carbon dioxide, join with water and other things, become what? It eliminates, it throws out oxygen and then it makes into starches, proteins, etc. And then, so they take carbon dioxide and convert in the form of energy, and then oxygen is a waste product for them, is it not? What is the waste product for us? Carbon dioxide. That's what here is written. Just look at here. Energy coming, these are potential energy. C6, H12, O6, plus when it's combined with 6 oxygen molecules, 6 O2, that's called potential energy, and that is converted into 6 carbon dioxide molecules, 6 hydrogen, and energy is released. This is called waste product. This is when energy is released, it becomes a waste for the body. So this is a waste product. So in order to, these are the potential energy. When that is actually converted into energy, you get 2 waste products. What are the 2 waste products? Carbon and water. Both must be eliminated. So plants, they convert and they get a waste product. No, sir. They take carbon dioxide and then convert into energy through the help of the sun's energy, and then they release what? Oxygen. So oxygen is a waste product for them. For us it is a life-giving. But what is actually life-giving? We are not talking about mere oxygen or carbon dioxide. In either cases, the mechanism is reversed. We cannot survive without the vegetable kingdom. No animals can survive. If there are no vegetable kingdom in this planet, the planet will be a dead desert. So original energy is from the sun has been converted. In fact, all the energy, whether it is using as a oil, or the coal, where is that? Coal is energy from the soil. So gasoline, petroleum, everything is all the sun's energy in different forms, stored in different ways. So when you burn the fuel to release that energy from the sun, when you burn the coal or even firewood, what is that? It's also the same energy. So energy is coming from the sun, is reconverted in many forms, and we use all living beings. But for us, we cannot use directly the sun except in a very small way like what we use in the vitamin D, but we have to get the energy through the plant kingdom, and that's what happened in the carbohydrate. So full cycle comes up back, and so you throw the waste products, and then plants again take that waste products and convert back into energy for us. So you got that? This energy should be here. CO2, because there's not much space, so she put it up. So this potential energy, when it's combined with oxygen, it becomes carbon dioxide, water, and energy. This is called waste products, okay? So in both instances, that is, this, in the potential energy state or waste products, CO2 and H2O are formed. The same amount of energy is set free. When this takes place, same amount of energy. 4. The combustion of food in air is direct union of oxygen with the food. No auxiliary agents are needed. It is an uncontrolled chemical reaction. The velocity and extent of which are limited by the supply of oxygen and the removal of the products. The burning process is irreversible. Again, this is an example. The combustion, the air is taking place, no auxiliary agents are needed. But we cannot do that. We have to convert the carbohydrates into that's inside what is taking place. It's uncontrolled chemical reaction, the velocity and extent of which are limited by the supply of oxygen and the removal of the products. The burning process is irreversible. Where the so-called oxidation in an animal's body to take place in this manner, it would be the animal's fire. 5. Glucose, and this holds for foodstuff in general, is relatively stable substance, protected from molds, bacteria, etc. It can be kept in air indefinitely. Glucose you don't have to refrigerate. Sugar you don't have to. Have you seen anyone refrigerating sugar? Honey? You don't have to, because it's free from all these problems. It can be kept in air indefinitely from molds, bacteria, etc. To it unite with the atmosphere, oxygen, it must be heated to several hundred degrees. If that glucose has to combine with the, so you can take a lump of sugar and put heat under it, what will happen? It will melt, and afterwards it will, high temperature it will burn. This is called oxidation too. In the body, catabolism or burning of glucose takes place at body temperature. What is the body temperature? 98.6. But what is Celsius? Still I am not able to. What is Celsius? 36.6. Make a note because you won't forget it also. It's good. So you can Fahrenheit 98.6 or 36.6. So in the body, catabolism of carbohydrate takes place at body temperature and without the use of strong chemical agents. For 6, the chemical elements of food are said not to unite directly with oxygen. For example, carbon dioxide, an abundant waste product originally from all 3 organic foodstuffs, is not formed by the oxygen in the cells combined with the carbon of glucose. This we already understood that, so we don't worry. The catabolism of food of materials is normally exquisitely timed as to occurrence and carefully controlled as the extent of the activity of the tissue needing energy. When the need has been met, the catabolism for that particular purpose stops automatically. When I don't need any more energy, the catabolic process, my hands are normal and relaxed, the catabolic activity stops. So when the needs has been met, the catabolism of the particular purpose stops automatically. Metabolism and vegetative functions. Increased cellular activity as during muscle work or exposure to cold is dependent upon the increase in the disintegration of food and is associated with a greater formation of waste products and increase in heat production. Increased cellular activity as during muscle work or exposure to cold creates brings more oxidation of the fuel. Why? In a cold day, if you take a cup of coffee to get warmth, you get the warmth from the cup of coffee. Where do you get the warmth? If you take an ice cream cone, you'll give more energy, more heat for the body, even in the winter, cold winter. An ice cream cone will give more heat than a cup of coffee. Coffee gives only what? Stimulation of the heart. The caffeine stimulates the heart to beat faster. So circulation is more increased through peripheral portion of the bloodstream. And so you get a feeling of warmth. But that is only not heat at all. It is only extra activities of the muscle. But actual heat must come from burning of glucose. So an ice cream will give you more heat, that's why. So either muscular activity or in cold, body has to use lots of food. Just like if this room is very cold, you are having a fire is going on with one or two logs of wood. Is enough sufficient? Then when like this warm day, you can put little fire in the fireplace with that. But when it gets colder, you need more firewood. Same thing, your body is in a cold state, you need more fuel to burn. And then who will survive in a cold day? Yes, Swami Dattatayananji, that's right, She will have no problem in survival in a cold day. But who is the leanest person here? See? Yeah. He will have lots of problems because there is no fuel to burn. So it's good thing. Fat is not all bad, Many people think fat is bad, It has got its own advantage. So increased cellular activity as during muscle work or exposure to cold is dependent upon an increase in the disintegration of food and is associated with a greater formation of what? Greater formation of what? Waste product. So the more food you are burning, so more oxygen, so more carbon dioxide, more water. This demands a greater supply of properly digested and absorbed food. What is the properly digested and absorbed food? What do you call it? Properly digested and absorbed food. This demands this muscular activity either for activity or for cold. What this? That's a carbohydrate converted into glucose, or protein is converted into amino acids. So this demands a greater supply of properly digested and absorbed food and the removal and disposal of a greater quantity of waste products. Suppose your elimination is poor. Not only you are breathing to get oxygen, you also must breathe to get your carbon dioxide out and water. Of course, water there is no problem in elimination because you can eliminate in the form of perspiration or urination. It's a blessing. But the carbon dioxide must be eliminated through, otherwise body oxygen that will increase further. So you won't get any benefit. though you got lots of fuel in your system, lots of fats and carbohydrates, but you are neither getting enough oxygen to burn it, nor you are able to throw it out the carbon dioxide. Another example I should just show you. Bring that lamp again. Again, the same example will show how. Could shut off this light. Just bring that at this one. This just so that you can visualize the whole situation. If I cover with this glass, you saw yesterday, as soon as the oxygen is burned out, it is finished. It went off, is it not? When I use this thing, the enough oxygen is coming, enough air is coming through hole, and then it is also, waste product is thrown out. Of course, it starts to get a heat. Soon it becomes, that energy is coming in the form of heat. I can't hold it for too long. Okay, now just see. Suppose if I close 3 holes, what will happen? So first I leave all the holes open and waste product can go. You see, it will continuously burning, is it not? Burning, is it not? Yes. Now I am closing 3 of the hole. Its capacity is, still there is enough air is there for it, still the small hole can give enough. But now I do what? I leave all the things are opening and I close the top. What is happening? My hand is not burning. Okay. If I close these things, the waste products cannot go out. And so new fresh air cannot come in. So the resulting is going to be, okay, I close this with the so I don't want to burn my finger. The oxygen is coming, okay, now, no, this won't work because I need the air. See, though you got air is coming here, of course, if I cover with this thing, it will completely go in 2 seconds, it will out. But if I do this with this, the air is coming, but the waste product is not eliminated. Then, though there is a fuel, though there is enough waste product is not removed, so in that case, pardon? What's that?
Can't the carbon dioxide go out the little holes on the bottom?
No, it can't because heat. That's called ventilation. Now you know that. What is ventilation? Heat rises up, and so that's constant flow. Through the bottom you get the air, and the waste product, the heat is thrown out. Suppose if there is no chimney, just look into your chimney in your furnace. And if you just close the furnace, of course you are giving lots of heat and lots of oil, everything. But the chimney you close it, what will happen? If you don't allow the smoke to go out, the waste product, it will choke, it will die, you see. So the ventilation, so one is coming up and this going, circulation must be there, you see. You can also here, if you want a cross ventilation, though one window is open and another, all the windows are closed actually. One wind is coming from there. So you won't get cross ventilation, means you are not changing the air, because there is no way the air is going out. Same product. So when air is coming, it must circulate. Look into a lamp, your lantern, no, hurricane lamp, what do you call it? We call it hurricane lamp in India. Hurricane lamp, yeah. And you saw that old lamp with and so you can just move and it won't have any, even if the wind comes up or blows up storm, you won't blow up the light. Why? Protected from what? But then how do you get the wind? Then how do you get the air to burn? See, at the bottom of that hurricane lamp, there are little air. So air can come from the bottom, and the top of the hurricane lamp, you can see there are the holes to get the heat and the waste products to dissipate. But the direct wind is coming, the is protected by the glass. That's why the holes are at the bottom, you see. That will give enough oxygen, air for the burning, and that top is also covered in such a way the air cannot come from, though the air is blowing from the top, because the heat is there, so always the heated air goes up, and the heat and the smoke are lighter. When it's hot, it always goes up. So that's what chimneys are kept very high in the big factories. Why they brought the huge chimneys, which about sometimes 100 feet high chimneys? What's the purpose of that? To get the waste product away from that lower atmosphere. That's what they thought originally. If they just take it up higher, they can just avoid the problem, you know. But they brought only acid rain now. As it goes up, eventually it comes back. You know, Canadians are very mad about Americans about this. Big fight is going on because they blame the acid rain because of America. It's a big political issue in Canada now. We are suffering, Canadians are suffering because of Americans, and Americans being the acid rain. You better stop, they won't get admission next time, okay? So that is the whole situation. So the air is coming, but if there is no cross ventilation, there's no waste product is not thrown out, that air you cannot get the fresh air because there's no more waste product accumulated. The same happens to your body cells too. This is what I'm talking about. Eliminate. The health is not depending on merely eating of carbohydrate, proteins and fats in a proper way, but also you must have proper elimination. So exhalation as well as urination and the other excretory functions are very important. If not, your body cells will be loaded with just like that, and then it will not function properly. So this demands a greater supply of properly digested and absorbed food and removal of the disposal of a greater quantity of waste products. So if your excretion of waste product is not sufficient, then also you won't get proper cellular activity. In consequence, environmental conditions remaining constant, the activity of the vegetative organ is directly proportional to the extent of metabolism. Now we go to protein metabolism. We already know about how the carbohydrate metabolism takes place. General description of metabolism. Protein metabolism. In the metabolic process spoken in the preceding chapter, all the principles of organic constituents of the cell, that is, all the principles of organic constituents of the cell. What are the organic constituents of the cell? Protein, carbohydrates and fats. Take a part constantly and simultaneously. However, the proteins stand at the center of life. The very name proteins come from, you know how do protein name comes from? Proto, first. Proto, first. Is indicative of their importance. The functions of proteins as a class may be grouped. 1. You can write this thing. They form the basic material of all protein protoplasm. They form the basic material of all protoplasm. 2. They are utilized in the construction of special cellular products. They are utilized in the construction of special cellular 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 products, that is certain enzymes, hormones, antibodies, etc. These are the second purpose of the protein. Third, totally distinct from the above is their supplying of energy. This function they share with non-nitrogenous compounds. What are the non-nitrogenous compounds? You already learned that in the carbohydrate, when how the protein can be converted into energy. Did I not discuss that? Just like carbohydrate, a portion of the protein can be, no, if not, I didn't discuss. Okay, then come, sorry, I forgot. Yes, just like you are also getting energy from carbohydrates, but body also, a portion of the protein is converted also in the form of energy, just like it's a tedious process, but we'll just come to that now sooner. Function and chemical composition of proteins. By its alternate contraction and relaxation, a muscle performs mechanical work. A nerve, upon being stimulated, generates an impulse and propagates it along the nerve fiber. A gland manufactures a new compound from materials taken from the blood. Such extreme diversity of function is possible because of differences in the composition of the proteins forming these organs. See, different functions are there. Muscular contraction, a nerve impulse coming through the nerves to stimulate the muscle, a gland manufacture of hormones. These different forms in the composition of difference in the composition of the different forming these organs. Recalling that protein molecule is composed of a large number of various kinds of amino acids, we can see readily the protein may differ from one another in three respects. Protein metabolism is more difficult than carbohydrate metabolism, and there are the varieties of protein molecules there. Some of the purest form of protein, very purest form of protein is your hair. Parvati, today we'll have a hair sandwich and hair soup. Protein. This is one of the main reasons we are going to discuss about this. What are the effects? Because we already know that protein is essential for life, for construction. But first of all, it cannot be stored. Second, other problems involved, nitrogen waste. These are the things we have to learn. Then you will be able to understand that you won't just think of only protein all the time. So the